Okay, so I made a copy of today's little practice worksheet that we did in class, our notes, and actually I erased 1 and 2, even though I know every class did number 1 and 2. Majority of us did number 3 and number 5, but I'm going to start and I'll do number 3 through 11. And I'm going to go halfway quick. You're able to pause if you need to stop to copy anything down. If you need to back it up, you can too. But remember, this is just so when you do your homework today, that you understand what you are doing and how. So on number 3, I'm going to notice that my y is all alone. So I've already done step 1. I've solved for y. In any place I see y, I can put in x plus 9. So I look at my second equation, and there is my y. So I'm going to rewrite my second equation as 3x plus 8 times, and I'm going to replace y with x plus 9. That's our substitution. Equals -5. This is why it's called the substitution method. I'm substituting the value of y, x plus 9, in for y in the second equation. I now solve that second equation. I have 3x, and I distribute my 8. 8 times x is 8x, and 8 times 9 is 72. I now combine like terms. 3x plus 8x is 11x plus 72 equals -5. I get 11x by itself, so I'm going to minus 72. I have 11x equals -77. I'm going to divide 11x by 11 so I can have x all by itself, and I get, oops, I'm going to write it up here actually, x equals -7. Okay. Now, after we've solved that, we go to step 3. Replace your answer into the revised equation from step 1 and solve for the other variable. So now, anywhere I see x, I'm going to replace it with -7. I'm going to look at my 2 equations. In my first equation, y equals x plus 9 is an easier equation. So I'm going to solve for that one. Okay, sorry, I got interrupted, so I had to pause our recording. So, back to where I was. I'm going to use my first equation, y equals x plus 9. But I see x is in here, and I'm going to replace it with my -7. So I'm going to rewrite my equation. Y equals -7 plus 9. Y equals 2. My final answer is -7, 2. Alright, we'll work on number 4. Once again, they already did work for me. I love it. They've told me that x is 4y plus 7. So wherever I see x, I'm going to replace the x with 4y minus 7. So I'm going to rewrite my second equation. 2 times 4y plus 7 minus 6y equals 12. I'm going to have a 4-step equation like we did in chapter 2. Distribute. 2 times 4y is 8y. 2 times 7 is 14. Finish my equation. I'm now going to move. I do have like terms, 8y, -6y. Sometimes that's hard to see, so I'm just going to get rid of this 14 right now. I'm going to move. It's going to be a like term to go to the other side, a constant. So if I do that, I'd have 8y. Remember, this sign has to stay with me. And that will give me -2. I have like terms, so 8y and 6y gives me 2y. And divide by 2, I'd get y equals negative 1. And I still have to solve for x. So, I now have y, and wherever I see a y, I can put in negative 1. Probably should not use purple to highlight, just use this yellow. So, I'm going to say, in my first equation, there's the y. That's the easier equation. So I have x equals 4y plus 7. And I'm going to substitute in, for this y, x equals 4 times, I'm going to put in my negative 1. Y was negative 1 plus 7. X equals negative 4 plus 7. X equals 3. So I have 3, I'm on board, 3, negative 1. Okay, number 5, the difference is I have to do step 1. There is no x equals or y equals. However, what I am going to look for here, if I look at x's, my coefficient is 2, and 5 is my coefficient in front of x. Here I have 3y. On this one, though, I only have 1y. So that's going to be a little bit less work. So I'm going to choose the first equation to solve for. I'm going to say 2x plus y equals negative 2. And I'm going to solve for y because there's only one of them. So minus 2x on each side. And I can have y equals negative 2x minus 2. Now this is just like numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here's a y, and this is my substitution that I will put in. I'm going to substitute 2x minus 2 for y. I look at my second equation, and y was right there. So I'm going to take my equation, 5x plus 3, and instead of y, I'm going to say negative 2x minus 2 equals negative 8. I'm going to distribute 5x. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Go back and forth between colors here. I'm going to do like terms since these are right next to each other. Sorry, I'm giving the answer. 5x minus 6x is negative x. And then I'm going to add my 6. I have negative x equals negative 2. Well, I can go ahead and take this whole equation because I don't want a negative x. I'm going to take everything times negative 1. And when I do that, mainly, I'm just going to go through my whole equation and change every sign to positive to negative and negative to positive. Negative 1 times negative x is positive x. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say anywhere I see an x, I can put a 2. I'm going to look at my two equations, and here's where in our step 3 it said replace your answer into the revised equation. Well, I really have 3 equations I can look at. I can look at 2x plus y equals negative 2. I have 5x plus 3y equals negative 8. Or here's my revised equation. Y equals negative 2x minus 2. Really, I can use any equation to put 2 in for x and solve for y. So I'm going to look for the easiest equation, and I feel like it's going to be this one, the revised. Y equals negative 2x minus 2. And instead, I meant to do that here, I'm going to say negative 2x is 2. We just found that x was 2. So I replaced it. Solve y equals negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. And then y equals negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. My answer is 2, negative 6. Number 6. Remember, if you have any questions on these, pause, back it up. I know I'm going quick, but you can pause and catch up on any time. Same thing. I do not have any of them that have x equals or y equals, but I notice right here I have only one y. So I'm going to solve this equation. 2x plus y equals 9, and I want to solve for y. The reason we're doing that is less steps. I don't have to do any division, so I'm going to solve for the one variable. Y, oops, sorry, I thought it was a highlighter. Y can be substituted with negative 2x plus 9. We go to our first problem. There's y. It will be substituted. I'm going to rewrite that problem. 2x minus 3, just a little, 3 times negative 2x plus 9 equals negative 11. Okay, let's highlight just so you see. There was what I substituted in. I substituted negative 2x plus 9, and I substituted that in for my y. Now I solve this equation. 4-step equation like we did in chapter 2. 2x, negative 3 times negative 2x is positive 6x. Negative 3 times 9 is negative 27. I look for like terms now. 2x plus 8x, or 2x plus 6x is 8x minus 27 equals negative 11. Add 27. X equals negative 11 plus 27 is 16. Let's go back to this color. Divide by 8, and I get x is equal to 2. I now want to substituting 2 in for x. Once again, I have 3 equations now. When I have to redo it, that's the one nice thing. When I solve an equation, I now have 3 equations to look at. And like before, and like it says in our step 3, usually this revised equation, this y equals negative 2x plus 9, is going to be the easier equation. So y equals negative 2 times x. Well, x was 2. Plus 9. Y equals negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 plus 9, which leaves me with y equals 5. Final answer is 2, 5. Okay, number 7. X plus 5y equals 4. I'm going to go ahead and solve on that one because there's only one x. So I have x plus 5y equals 4. I'm going to subtract 5y on each side. X equals negative 5y plus 4. Anywhere I see x, I will replace it or substitute it with negative 5y plus 4. Here's my x in my second problem. We will rewrite it. Let's make sure we know this goes to that problem up there. Alright, so 3 times, and I'm substituting negative 5y plus 4 in for x. That was substituted in, plus 15y equals negative 1. We distribute negative 15y plus 12. 3 times negative 5 was 15 to the negative, and 3 times 4 is 12. Plus 15y equals negative 1. I'm going to switch colors. Minus my 12. And I'm doing that even though I know I have like terms with y's. I don't like seeing them spaced out, so I'm just going to get rid of my constant. I'm going to have to do it anyways. So I have negative 15y plus 15y equals negative 13. Now when I do this one, negative 15 plus 15 is going to give me 0, and I should have negative 13. If I have 0 equals negative 13, I do not have a solution on this one. So as I'm saying, we have no solution. What does that mean? Think about this real quick. If I went to solve this, this is a false statement. 0 does not equal negative 13. So my first thing is, I'd look back and see, did I make any mistakes? Did I accidentally substitute? It happens. Did I accidentally put this in for y instead of x or something? And when I look back at my work, everything looks okay. So I feel like I didn't make any mistakes, but I still get 0 equals negative 13. What would that mean? Well, if that happens, that means there is no answer, no coordinate, no solution that I can put in for y that both my linear systems would use to make it true. Mainly, I can't make a true statement out of this. I have parallel lines. If you're doing your work and you've substituted in for one variable, and when you try to find the second one and it does not come out, that means there is no solution. There is no x, y that both equations share. Both lines have to have the same slope. They are parallel lines. You don't have to do this next step of work, but I'm going to prove it for you. If I was to take this equation, x plus 5y equals 4, I'm going to do it in red so you know this is my extra work just to prove this, and I solve for y. Okay, I'm going to divide by 5. I'd get y equals negative 1/5 x plus 4/5. Sure. My slope on this first equation is negative 1/5. I'm going to do my second line here. 3x plus 15y equals negative 1. And I'm going to have, let's see, I'm going to minus 3x. So I'd have 15y equals negative 3x minus 1. And I'm going to divide by 15. And my new equation would be y equals, Well, negative 3/15, if I do 3, I'm going to show it over here. 3 over 15, that simplifies. I can divide each one by 3 and get 1/5. So negative 1/5 x minus 1/15. So on this one, our two slopes were the exact same. We had the same slope. Our y-intercepts are different. Well, that's okay. Y-intercept would have to be different for parallel lines. You have to have the same slope, different y-intercepts. So I was able to find out that we had parallel lines because when I substituted one of my variables in, the equation came out to be false, meaning no solution. And the only time we do not have a solution is if I have parallel lines. Okay, I'm going to erase all this work so we can do. I know that's kind of confusing, but if you do your homework tonight, I believe you might want to take a look at, I want to say it's number 8 maybe. You might have the same thing happen. Likewise, if your two statements become true, and I get negative 13 equals negative 13, that might be telling me that I have the same line. Alright, I'm going to end up stopping there. I wanted to make sure we hit that one with parallel lines. I know there's about 4 other ones. I think using what we've done, you should have 1 through 8 done or 1 through 7 done. You should have a firm grasp of what I'm doing here. So if you have any questions, please let me know.